desert and suddenly felt the need to pinch a loaf? What about shopping at the mall and suddenly you need to drop the kids off at the pool? Or worst of all, you're on a romantic date and you realize that the Browns have to go to the Super Bowl right now. There are lots of places and times when this would have been A-okay. Your date wouldn't think anything of you dropping a bucket of slops out the window and yelling, "Look out below!" In many different places in the past, the process of public fecal releasing was not looked down upon. We've evolved since then. Let's take a look. Back in ancient Egypt, the rich people had bathrooms and toilets. Their toilets were just litter boxes, containers of sand in the ground with limestone seats. The peasants weren't as lucky though. They only had wooden stools to drop their stools into. The litter boxes had to be emptied by hand. If you were rich, you would have slaves to do that for you. Their toilet paper was stones and pieces of clay. If you think that hurts, then back in 16th century China, they would use broken pieces of pottery. Chinese people would squat anywhere and poop in public. Children today still do that. They have holes in the bottoms of their pants so that they can squat anywhere and just poop. In the 18th century, they had fertilizer bathrooms, which people would just poop in little holes in the ground, and farmers would come and collect them. So, collect the poo so that they could use them as fertilizer in their fields. There were no doors, no locks, and no sinks because it was unsanitary to touch anything after going to the restroom. Then, in medieval England, the royalty would have holes that led to the moat around their castle. So the water around their castle would be filled with poop, and unless you want to swim across that, you won't be getting anywhere. Nowadays, men might walk on the outside of the sidewalk to protect the ladies from any moving cars, but back then they would walk on the inside so that they wouldn't be squished by falling poos, because they would have bowls that they would poop into in their bedrooms and then throw out the window. Kings have a person called a groom of the stool who would help them with their basic pooping needs. They would talk to the king while he was pooping and wipe his butt afterwards. Their toilet paper was hemp, lace, wool, or the neck of a well-downed goose. Then in ancient Rome, they had built public bathrooms, and they were really public. They had no walls, so everyone could see you pooping. They would chat in there and spread the latest gossip. Their toilet paper was a sponge tied to a stick. Rich people had private toilets, but they weren't connected to sewers because they were scared that something might crawl out and get them while they were pooping. They had a goddess of sewers named Cloacina. Sailors nowadays might have proper flushing toilets on their boats, but back then they would just have to poop off the edge, and that was called the poop deck. It's still called the poop deck today, but hopefully you don't catch them pooping off the edge anymore. Their toilet paper was the thick rope of an anchor, which is not very soft. Now, to the modern toilets that flush. Everyone believes that the modern toilet was made by Thomas Crapper, but it was actually made by Sir John Harington in 1596. People still use chamber pots because they ignored his idea and didn't think it was very useful. Then Alexander Cummings patented the idea in 1775, and Joseph Broma made a better design 3 years later. The flushing toilets were a luxury and only became popular in the 19th century. In summary, we've come a long way. I really like the Roman toilets with no walls, though. Everyone was free to talk to each other with no walls, no boundaries, and no doors of secrecy to separate them. Nowadays, we're separated by gender, rooms apart, worlds apart. Why can't we just be one human race? Like the walrus Romans, chatting and sharing the news while dropping a load. I say we join together and start pooping like Romans. Make toilets great again.